Hello teacher, my name is Josue Quiña and I'm going to talk about the FCA speaking exam test part number 1. Okay, this part number 1 is going to take more or less 2 minutes or 3. This is for an introduce yourself and your partner. For example, as we can see here in the screen is the presentation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is, and this is my colleague, and your names are. Also, this is going to have more common topics that are what is your favorite hobbies, what do you do if you are working or you are studying, your favorite sports, what do you prefer to do in your free time, also what do you do with your family or with your friends. As we can see here in the screen, likes and dislikes, how do you like to spend your evenings, special occasions, social media or media. I'm going to give you some tips. For example, if you are going to talk, you are going to answer something, you have to be sure what you're going to say. Don't be afraid and don't be stressed. Be comfortable what you're going to do, what you're going to say, and don't be a robot. Try to be dynamic using your hands. Be sure what you're going to say. Also, try to avoid common mistakes and make your answers larger than the question. For example, if the examiner asks you for where are you from, you are going to say where are you from, but in addition some information that is useful for expand your knowledge and show that you are more conscious in what you are going to say. So I think that is all for this part number 1. I consider that is an easy part for everybody who is going to start the part number 1, and it's easy to introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brian Rivera and I am going to talk about the second part of the FCE speaking test. The second part is called a long term because in this part is focused on changing turns to speak between student A and student B. In this activity, two color photos are presented and the students A must talk about the comparison of the photos in 1 minute. After that, the examiner asks students 2 or student B questions about the photos and he must speak for 30 seconds. To carry out the activity in a good way, it's important following the next tips. Okay, first, don't describe the images because the students must speak only a comparison between the photos. Second, if you make mistakes, it doesn't matter, and you should keep talking and take advantage of 1 minute and the 30 seconds for the question. And finally, the third tip that is you must know and practice how to compare things. Thank you.
Hello teacher, my name is Gabriel Baca and I'm going to talk about part 3 of the FCE speaking exam. So in part 3 we're going to have a spider web that is going to be linked with 5 keywords in a question. So it's going to look like that. As we can see in this example, we have the chart and then we are going to have about 15 seconds to read everything. And then we're going to discuss it with a partner for 2 minutes. And after these 2 minutes are over, the examiner will stop and is going to ask another question. And we're going to discuss that question for another minute more. So what is the best way to do this part of the exam? So here we have some tips to solve this part of the exam. And the first one is listen to your partner. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. So we're going to be interested in what they are saying, and also we are going to politely agree or disagree. If we disagree, we're going to try to persuade our partner to change their idea. But we are not going to take too much time to doing that to improve time. Another thing is that we are going to refer back to things that we already said before. Here, another tip that we have is that we are going to say a couple of sentences and then we are going to ask a question. So we are never going to answer our own questions. After that, we're going to try to look at our speaking partner more than the paper. So we have to take more time looking to our partner more than this paper. And some students turn their chair a little bit, and this is going to help them to remember who they should talk to. So this is going to be helpful to turn the chairs. So these are going to be some tips for solve this part of the exam, and thank you for your attention.
Hello teacher, my name is Fernando Villasis, and finally I am going to talk about the part number 4 of the FCE speaking test. Well, in this part of the test, the participants or the speakers have to talk about different topics from the part number 3 in more detail for at least 4 minutes. In this part, they are tested on the ability to give opinions, give reasons of their opinions, and the ability of politely discuss things with the other partner that they are talking. Well, the tips that is important to take account in this part are the questions in part 4 are not written down, so you have to listen carefully. If you don't understand the question, ask the examiner to repeat it. Look at the examiner when you give your answer, but then look at your partner when you're talking to each other. Always explain your answers. Yes, I think I have computers in school is a good idea because the children get used to get using technology and it will make it easier for them to get a job in the future. If you don't explain your answers, the examiner will always ask why. It's much better if you say why on your own. I don't know is bad answer. You can say, oh, what's a question? I never thought about it before. Or maybe that gives you a little bit of time to think of something to say. Be interested in what your partner says, agree or disagree with them as in part 3, and there are no right or wrong answers, only good or bad conversations. You can practice this if you are taking the FCE course. In the class, always ask your partner opinions on topics and always ask why. Finally, when the exam is over, say goodbye, but don't ask how well you did. There are the other way to tell you, and it just put them in an embarrassing situation. Also, don't start laughing or speaking your own language until you have left the room. It's not the job of interview, but there's no reason to make a bad impression. Thank you.